Here it is, this one, GD&T Model 1. So this is just model-based definition. So what that looks like is I've already finished the orthographic drawing. We don't have to do a drawing on this. All we have to do is do the GD&T controls in the model, actually. So I'm going to use this PDF here. Did I attach a PDF for this? Yeah, there is a PDF there. Just so I have my dimensions here. Where's my PDF though? This one here. Oh no, my Adobe still does this weird thing. Why is it so minimized? Oh. I think I need to uninstall Adobe and or reset its like default settings or something. I do need to. Yeah, Ari was asking me today, you still having issues? I'm like, no, I'm not having. Yeah, now I'm still having issues. Adobe is, but that one I wasn't ready to have issues with. What can I open with? I'll open it with Edge. Oh, then I don't have issues. It's just Adobe that's having issues. How about this? Yeah, we still have to model this. Yeah, because really all my information is going to be carried in the model. So I'm going to jump in and just, no, I have a, well, I do. I've already built it, but I'm going to build it from scratch, actually. It's a kind of an oddball, what, 413 length to 2 wide, just a little small part, and 2 1/4. Yeah, so I'll throw this up on my other screen. Let's draw this up on a new, just a, oh, this is identified as material, and I will identify that. That would be critical data to have in a parts. So this is actually aluminum 6061. So this is an aluminum block. So that's definitely something I need to define and make sure my materials are defined. So let's jump over here. But it's just going to start with a solid standard part here. And I will draw this in the front view and just extrude it back. So I'll probably put all this in the same sketch likely. Um, yeah, or maybe I'll do these two different ways because I've talked about, oh, I can either do these in the sketch or I can do these as features. So I'll do each little whole set, just the two different options I have. Uh, and so I'll draw on my front plane. Sorry, I'm going to start my new sketch up. And hey, wait, I can cast you. I got that thing fixed. So IT did give me some secrets. This program does have some bugs in it that a rectangle part that's like probably if it was 3 decimal places, this would read out as probably 4.125, but 4.13 is what it's at least called out on that drawing. I'm just kind of interested in what the tolerances are here. I guess most of them are 3 decimal place one. I don't, I wished I would have changed that to 3 decimal place. I'll just leave it like this, though, just so you can recreate this. Looks like everything else is kind of 3 decimal place. So I feel like I almost forgot to bump that one's accuracy up, and it probably would be 4 1/8 if I think of nice round numbers sometimes. But I will leave it at 413 just because it is that, and that's probably what you do too. 2 1/4 this way. Constrain that thing so let's live where we want it. I'm just going to constrain mine over the origin. And then I'll do one sketch in here, and then I'll do the other sketch. Well, yeah, I'll show it. Yeah, let's see. Let me see what we got. Maybe I'll do this round set of holes here in the sketch. There's 60 degrees off of here is the first one. It's got a bolt circle of 1 1/4. So I think I'm gonna establish my bolt circle, and I'm gonna establish one of these that's probably on a quadrant. This is how I look at circles when I go to draw them, is kind of looking for one that really just looking for a hole pattern maybe, or a hole to start with. To me, that may start on either the horizontal or vertical line. center line that is. So that, to me, that's why I would start with this hole and pattern it around from there rather than try to lay this out. I could figure it out. I mean, there's 60 degrees between it, so it's only 30 degrees off of this. That would be fine. Just generally when I look at a round set of features, I might look to locate the one that's kind of clocked in a 12, 9, 3, or 6 o'clock position and then work from there. That's just my habit. But yeah, what we have when I look at this hole pattern in this orientation, what I say is this is what is called a two-hold hole pattern, and it means that these two holes are symmetrical over this vertical center line. So if you ever hear something like when we apply like flanges to piping so we can bolt sections of pipe together, really common for those flanges to be like two hold from at the 12 o'clock spot. And the reason is because the fabricator actually has an easier time installing something that's two hold rather than single hold because they have these like special tools. They're called two hole pins. And all they do is they just like bolt them into these holes. Like while they're fitting up a flange to a piece of pipe, they would bolt this like tool through the holes, these two holes right here. And then they can set a level across the two little, all they are is just these little standoff posts that will like, and they're like, I should pull them up. They're called two hole pins and they're just kind of tapered so they, anyway, it's a whole thing, but all it does is allow you to set a level across those two holes. And so you can actually just like quickly throw a level on those, line them up at the 12 o'clock position on a piece of pipe. If they're level, you're two hold and you lock it down and tack it down or weld it up or whatever. And so it's a little harder to get something like leveled and straight if they're going to put a hole on the especially when the part lives like this, where this is how it's sitting. And obviously if my part was if I flipped this thing this way, this would be like a single hold. And this is kind of hard for a fabricator to install and get it leveled out, making sure that it's like not slightly tipped one way or the other. They could definitely put their two hole pins and then level it across this way, do like a vertical leveling between the 6 o'clock and 12 o'clock hole. And that would tell them that they're, straight up and down but the problem is they got to hold that unless it's a magnet or something, they can magnet to something like that. This allows like if I'm two holing one more time around. If I'm two holing a hole pattern like this, even with the non magnetic, non-ferrous materials, I can still set a level across there and level up these. So that's just a concept. I mean, and it's a concept that it plays out for a lot of hole patterns in general. So this is what I would call as a two-hole pattern, but it's obviously on a bolt circle. So free information there. Excellent. And there is there's a piping chapter we'll study in our theory book next 8 weeks. So they'll talk about concepts of piping systems a little bit. Long story short, 1.25 inch. These holes are 1/4 inch. So I'm just going to draw them at that size, 1/4 inch, 1.25 inch. Yeah, let's put that in. I'll put this hole in first and I'll just pattern it around. And I think I'll just do it in my sketch on this one. So I need to locate where I know the bolt circle itself is 1.25 inches. I'll have to look and see if I have some location dimensions for that on my print here. But it looks like I do. Three and an eighth from the left side surface, which is great because that's a datum B. And 1 inch up because that's datum C. So these are great location dimensions. Three and an eighth and 1 inch up. Dimension that in. It's 3 and an eighth from over here. So I've got my 3 and an eighth here. And then 1 inch up here to the hole. 1 inch. This is just a construction circle for me. It's just where I'm going to place my holes around. I'm going to put a circle on here. And these are they 0.25? Is that what they are? Sorry, it didn't let me mention that. 0.25. It's constrained to my circle here, but it's not constrained anywhere else. So I don't want that dimension, by the way. I don't know. I forgot I was in a dimension. So this thing is definitely constrained on. I just need to be constrained. So I can let's see, draw another construction line here potentially. There is a quadrant on your circles, right? There should be quadrants. There's a quadrant. This is a quadrant right there, I think. Let me make sure I'm not missing it. Zoom in a little bit. We just like to know where that quadrant is. There to there, over to here. I'm gonna do a coincident constraint to this line center point to this center point here. That's all it takes to constrain that. It's bound in here. It's a horizontal line. So this is also just for me as a construction line that I'm using to place this. I'm going to coincident constraint to the center to that line end there, right there. And that's kind of the location for at least one of mine. I could have put it over here too. Wouldn't have mattered. I would have probably just in my habit, I would have picked one of these. It wouldn't have mattered which one. What's that? Well, I probably could. I probably don't even need this line now that I think I can. My question is, can I constrain this center point to a quadrant here? I don't know if it actually accepts that as like it will with a line command. It's kind of interesting. Here's my line, and then from a line, it does have an an automatic grip that shows up. Yeah. The only reason mine's still now it's bound in the circle for sure. And it's also bound horizontal just because I made sure that constraint showed up when I snapped it. But I need it to be in the center of the circle. So essentially this is a diameter. Even if I just pick the line, it'll be correct. If I pick the midpoint of the line, maybe it's a little more correct, but yeah, that's all I did. I just use it as construction. But I just wanted to check because I couldn't remember if a quadrant shows up for another circle. I'm surprised it doesn't, right? Kind of surprising. Some grips with some selected geometry show up and others don't. So when in doubt, add some more construction lines if you need to. I'm going to pattern this thing around in the sketch. So I'll do a circular pattern. And these are at 60 degrees, and there's like what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them, I think. So the geometry to pattern, so the circle. Just kind of be aware, sometimes you need to grab the center of circle. Like I'm not going to pick the center of circle here. Let's see if it comes around with it. I can't remember if it's auto or if sometimes if you need the center of circle, grab it as your selected geometry. But um, yeah, I definitely have 3 1/8 from datum C left side surface, and I have 1 inch to the center of hole. So that's what turned mine from. That is what constrained mine.
I'll give the highlight the line first, then highlight the four, then like four center points. It,
Yeah.
I don't have one that constrains the center of the line, the center of the circle.
I did. I did have to coincident constrain that. First, I just drew it across, but it really didn't lock. It let me draw it to the quadrants, but it technically didn't lock them in. It's funny. Yeah, technically my circle is only size dimensioned here, and mine is then coincident constraint. Yep. You just want to make sure that's totally across the horizontal diameter of that circle for sure. Before I pattern this thing, right? Pattern it. I'm just going to select that single geometry. It'll allow me keep selecting a bunch of geometry, but that's all I need. So I'm going to move over to the axis of where that geometry is getting rotated. And now it just says select geo. So I need to select the axis, which I think I can just select the center point as my axis. Default 6, so it's exactly what we want. It's actually a default. Then I'm just gonna say okay. You can edit that if you go into here, right? Here's your edit the pattern. This is just me hovering over one of the selections, and then you'll see your pattern. You can get back into it if you need to. So I'll just do that one, and then I'll put in one more, but instead of doing like the rectangular pattern in the sketch, I'll just do one hole and pattern it after I make the hole. And there's a lot of different ways I could just because yeah, sometimes you'll do it this way, I think, and then I just have to extrude this, and the hole's already cut with the extrusion, or they're not really adding any other data to it. This other way, I might be adding a little more data to my solid. to my, at least my, yeah. So let's see how that works. Like, I'm just going to put a circle, circle. This rectangular pattern's up here somewhere. What's that size of that one? Are they different sizes? 3125, that's 5/16, 0.3125. So I'll make that my whole size. Mike is too quiet. And then, well, let me see which, I don't know which one I'm going to do. I'm going to look for maybe which one's dimensioned on this drawing here. Looks like to me, I'll probably move this hole into this position here and just go up 1 1/4 and over 3/8, 0.375. So up 1 1/4, over 375. I'll place this hole. 1 1/4, 375. So from here to here, it's going to be 1 1/4. And over 3/8. And then I could use the rectangular pattern to pattern my sketch. I'll just do this as one here like this. And then we'll pattern a feature in the solid. So I'm going to say I'm done with this. I think it extrudes 2 inches, not a revolve. Let's do it. Let's do an extrude. 2 inches, that's all right. 2 inches. And then, so you can always just do, a simple sketch when you have a pattern that you want to do, and then you can pattern it in the solid, right? So I don't know if you guys do this much or not. I've seen a lot of students do this or both ways, and so I just want to make sure everybody's clear on both ways. I can just do one single and then just do my pattern here, rectangular pattern. And this is just a feature right here, right? So feature, maybe I got to be in here to, maybe it won't recognize this as I do this before, right? It won't recognize this as a feature. That's right. It's part of like a whole extrusion. So let me just show you how I would change that. If I was wanting to do this, maybe I've done this once before. Let me go back in and edit my sketch. Edit, edit, edit. Instead of this being a circle here, sorry, I'm going to delete it. I'm going to actually just establish a point. And then I'm just going to dimension that point as if it was the center of my circle. So it's the same dimensions here. This one would be 0.375. This one would be 1.25. So a little bit different. I've just actually selected a place there. I'll say finish. It changes my extrusion just because that's not a selection of a hole anymore. And if you'd ever done that to anything and you'd ever use that, if I had had that hole in there before, and then in some other sketch down the road, I had projected any features of that hole, but then I come back and edit my sketch and change my features and I lose that, your projections will become pink in that sketch and they'll be lost. So, you have to be aware when you're modifying your part that's going to have kind of a domino effect of what you've projected from it as the model kind of builds out. That'll affect this and the drawing that it goes on for sure. So maybe you guys have already experienced some of that. Once you delete stuff, anything that was built on it later down in the model is gonna be impacted if you change it. But all I'm doing here is I'm gonna say, oh, there's that sketch there. I turn it on really quick, turn the visibility on. We can make a hole with a point, right? We've done it a few times. I just like to do as many times as I can. Here's my hole command. It's going to be usually the last thing you use, which looks like I was using a counterbore last time I used this command. I just want it to be a clearance hole or like no seat or no counterbore, no countersink. So no seating. It's just a clearance hole. That's that first one. Simple hole, I guess. There's a clearance hole. Sorry, it's a simple hole. Threaded holes and taper tapped. All right. And I just need to set a size of this. So it looks like I was on a metric template last. That's kind of weird. I hope I'm not in a metric. I hope I'm not on a metric part. I shouldn't be. Just the last data I used this was a metric time, I guess. So this is these holes are I can't remember what size. Oh, 3125. That's why I can't remember. It's kind of an odd size. 0.3125. So this, and I'm going to put it through all right here because it goes through all the way through my block. Of course, I can modify that if I needed to, how far it goes, but this one is all the way through. So what I would say is I feel like that hole contains just kind of more data in the model than does the simple sketch potentially and the extrusions there. So sometimes I might think of the difference in these two while they feel like they've done the same things as maybe it's a data thing. And you can see some sketches get pretty complicated patterning, hole patterns and stuff. Like there are some parts that we do, like when we I mean sometimes in the mechanical world we make our own like mesh screens. We make our own like really fine cutouts for all kinds of different purposes. And they can be some pretty extensive sketch patterns. And so you might find that the file size of a part that has a really complex patterning of holes or something, just think of making some type of a screen with 100 holes in it or something. You might find that the file is easier to manage whether the holes are kind of done as part of the extrusion in the sketch versus these features. Like I'm like now this is considered like a feature in my part. It has that other menu where I can make it threaded, and so I feel like these come with a little bit more data. Maybe my file size is increased and maybe it just becomes clunky to work with something that has a pretty extensive pattern in it. So you just play with that. You can try it apart. If you ever have to do this in your career, maybe this concept will come up and be like, hey, does one make it, I essentially get the same results. Does one of them help me have an easier manageable part, easier to modify maybe in the future too? So you have to consider that. At this point, it wouldn't matter either way I drew these, but I've kind of choosing to draw these two whole sets just slightly different. One's in the sketch and in the extrusion. One is which also kind of eliminates or kind of maybe the way I might want to manipulate those holes later is a little less manipulatable, I guess, because that's what I found with my hole when I put it in. I was going to feature pattern that. I'm like, oh, I can't do that. It doesn't really consider that a separate feature, but this does now. So now when I go to pattern this rectangular pattern, it really, the default selection on a pattern in a solid like this is going to be like features, especially where we just have one solid here anyway. So it's like now this is recognized as a feature. And so I can choose it and then I can pattern it. So, some things you draw are selectable, some are not. So you can play around with that. I just need to pick a direction. So I'm just going to pick, let's say, pattern this direction first, which is just by the selection. I'm selecting a line generally when I'm doing this. I'm actually selecting, usually I select an edge of the 3D solid. However, if you ever modify this edge of the 3D solid and this pattern is driven from this edge, this pattern is gonna blow up on me. So I can't, like if I ever lose that edge that's been defined now I'm using it to build from. If I modify it, go back to this extrusion and do some kind of a modification where it loses that edge, well, then this pattern blows up. And so that's kind of why this domino effect happens, is because you might not realize that you've just lost uh, if you've modified your part, you've lost what else you built from it. So just watch that. I need to switch this direction that way. And I just need to check these spacings real quick here, right? Like 1 inch and 5/8, 0.625. So I'm just going to pattern this out, 1 inch and 0.625. So I only need two going that direction. They just need to, and they are, looks like default's 1 inch. So that's great. That's actually my input. Direction two, I just need to pick an edge of my solid that's in alignment with the way I want to go. So I can pick this edge here. And I don't want it to go that way, but I want it to go this way. And I don't want it to be 1 inch spacing. I just want two columns though. So let's say this is 0.625. I guess this would be two rows. And so now I say, okay. So there are just been, I've patterned, and I can turn off this sketch now and take a look at it, but I've just patterned a feature versus patterning a sketch. They're just different. They're totally different. I would say yeah, it just depends on how you want to manipulate this later. So think of that. Sometimes these sketches that are in extrusions are not as manipulatable as maybe setting an individual feature. This is done. Other than now, we just need to define it. So what we're going to deliver is this part. We're going to deliver this to our in-house machinists. They don't need a print for it. They just need you to define how you're controlling it. That's this concept, model-based definition. Um, So all they want to do is like have me send them this file. So let's do some annotations to it. So when they pull it up, they can see the annotations. And they will be, let's take a look. I need to establish datum. So that's always the first part you're going to want to do. In order to establish any positional or features of size, Inventor just needs to know what you're holding as datums. And so if I look here, it looks like front side surface is datum A. And it has a flatness control at 10 thousandths. So right now they are, this is totally fine in how to establish them. You'll see that Inventor will bundle them together, which is also okay. I could have bundled these together as a drafter. I could have said pointed to this and then hooked my datum to here, and that just means that I'm controlling datum A as the front surface with a 10 thousandths flatness, regardless of feature size. So if that 2 inches looks like I have a plus or minus tolerance on that of like 2 decimal place. I have like 1/100th that it could depart from 2 inches. If it was 2.01 in size, it would be acceptable by my tolerance. But at 2.10 size, I'm at max material condition, and none of this 10 thousandths flatness would be able to be applied. So that's how that would work to kind of reinforce the concept that we were just talking about with that straightness on that shaft here too. At two, I would still be allowed that flatness essentially if my part size was produced at 2 inch. Okay, let's just establish datum A along with this control. Datum B is left side surface, and it's being controlled 10 thousandths perpendicular. It doesn't say to which datum, so I feel like this could be an error. I'm holding it perpendicular. Likely, this maybe should say datum A, perpendicular to datum A. That be true? That would be true. It's perpendicular to datum A. So I bet you Inventor will want us maybe to add that. So this is yeah, let's see what it does with my annotations. And then datum C, I'm also controlling perpendicular to A and B. So I feel like I see an error here. This one I like better. This is how I think, and this is now perpendicular uh, datum A and datum B here. So all three of my datums here are kind of being controlled. So let's put these in now. I'll start with datum A, front side surface. That's this front. Yep, this surface. So I go over here to my annotate tab, and we're going to tolerance this thing. Tolerance feature is my first thing. Establish your datums first. So my feature is going to be not a feature of size, but a feature. This is a surface feature. This is it. That's my planar surface. Like it. I'm going to say okay. Now we get to go in and actually control it how I want to control it here. So there's my surface leader line. And I don't know what yours default is. Mine might be defaulting the last thing I use. I don't know. But technically that's the correct one, isn't it? I don't even have to change this. But you may have to, so I can't say for sure.
Yeah.
Yours is this as well? Oh, point H right here. Oh yeah, so you just want to click in here and then that's how you get access. So it's kind of weird. Some of the ways we change it are through the dialog boxes here. Others are just directly like change like right here. It's funny that it doesn't give me straightness here. Like straightness is kind of weird. I would think that I should have an option for straightness, but flatness is what it's probably because I'm profiling a surface. The thing I selected was a surface, so I'd probably have to establish some kind of a line on there if I wanted to try to control straightness. I don't know. I'm interested that I don't have straightness as an option here, but I do. Yeah, this I want to change to 0.010, 10 thousandths. This is considered datum A. And so that's why it's applying this datum identifier. I do want it to identify it as a datum. And so really that's the only thing I'm changing. It's a feature priority. And so all I do is I can select apply on this. There's datum A. Looks like I've got my tolerance advisor up, which is just this one right here. Looks like it's a graduation cap, huh? So this must mean once you get really good at GD&T, you'll want this. I don't know. I, I tend to feel like the way I use this is probably a little clumsy, and I've never had this. I think mentioned it the other day that I've never sat here and gone through and tried to iron all these out. But I am interested in getting better with my Inventor and GD&T. I mean, I am applying it, but as far as like, I haven't like really spent a lot of time with the tolerance advisor troubleshooting to define it. Well, anyway, yeah, KC.
Just general profile note on the paper.
Oh, I want you to do this little general note right here. It just says this is what's controlling. Yeah, and this is kind of interesting. This just is like a general note, almost like a general note would be on your drawing. Yeah, if you apply this and say okay, it's like yeah, most some of it goes away for sure. I'm not going to do that, but that's interesting, huh? This is like a general note. I think it's only for profile. Yeah, general profile. It's almost adding like a general note to your yeah to your model-based definition, which makes sense. We may have some general notes that we would add there. That's good. That's cool. B is this surface, right? Is that what it is? Yeah, left side surface is B. 10 thousandths should say from datum A. So I'm just going to select it as a feature priority as well. There it is. See, it automatically establishes datum A. So this is, I mean, this is one reason why I like this model-based definition a little better. Maybe it's a little bit more automated, and if I'm doing the drafting on my sheet, it'll let me make mistakes all day long. It doesn't have that. Maybe there's no smart. You're to me when I apply welding symbols and GD&T on the drawing, it's just they don't feel like they're like adaptive or kind of smart dimensions. They're just kind of static. And this one helps me kind of establish it maybe uh, more correct,
One more time.
more correctly. I don't know. This is exactly what I want. This is what I feel like is missing on my actual drawing. It should say datum A. I'm holding perpendicularity at 10 thousandths from datum A. This is now going to be considered datum B. So I don't really have to change anything here. Yours did not do that?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. Oh yeah, make sure you have your first one or it will not. That's for sure. Yeah. Yeah, make sure you do the little check. Yeah, if you don't push that check, it just all your hard work goes to naught. It is true. There's like two green checks to get that thing to apply for sure. And then yes, it should be this one as a green check. That's good. Double click. Now I have to green check again once I'm done manipulating this. But actually I don't have to manipulate it. It's perpendicular 10 thousandths. I want datum A there. This is datum B. And now naturally C is going to be, if I'm going to hold perpendicularity, it's going to infer that, oh, that's from A and B. So when I go to do that one more time, I probably don't have to change much here either. Just like select it as a planar surface. It's going to want to control it perpendicular. And maybe yours isn't defaulting to perpendicular. Mine might be doing that because, uh, but you can always get back in these, modify them, just double click. Here's your, and then the other thing that I like is that it really only gives you the options that would really be available. So when I bring this drop down list, it's not like I have to pick from every geometric control there is. Really, it's kind of like minimizing, hey, based off A, this is really the things that you could try to hold from datum A. If they're not a selection here, then I probably shouldn't be trying to apply them potentially. Except for I question why I don't get straightness right off the get-go. So there are some things that I still need to dive into to wonder like what, anyway. I still Inventor still makes me ask a lot of questions. And I say why? And I have homework to do to figure out why. So this is datum's established now, and even their form control kind of being controlled, and that's established. And so really, the only thing I'm left to do for this one is apply whatever other geometric things I'm controlling, which is going to be, oh, these positions are being controlled. We've got 6 of them that are this. I don't want to be any smaller than that. So I'm kind of, changing the tolerance from the general tolerances to a deviation type tolerance here. Unilateral deviation tolerance here. Yeah, only in one direction. 10 thousandths at maximum material condition, considering A, B, and C datums. So let's apply that to one of those holes. I think it'll select these as a pattern, or you can either individualize these holes or select them as the pattern. Let's see if they recognize. So this could be something I'm interested in this because I didn't do this as kind of a feature pattern, so I don't know exactly how these two may act differently here, but I'm anticipating not, but I'm hoping that so I'm selecting let's tolerance those holes. I'll just pick one of them here. It does accept it as a pattern, even though it's a sketch pattern. So it wasn't like a featured pattern in the solid, it was a sketch pattern. It still recognizes that's a pattern. You could do one individually, but I'm going to do them all. That'll put the times 6 in front of it, I think. These are features of size, though, which if you don't ever select this, you can always get it on the second menu as well. So it's a feature of size. Oh, maybe that's what changes it back, actually. No, that's true. It's funny that that's weird. It did change me here back to a simple hole. Kind of weird. Just watch yourself. What's that? Yeah. It's like it'll flip it one way, but it doesn't flip it the other way. It's weird, you know. You become pretty good at just clicking around and seeing, you know, I think I've told you early on, usually I just do something and if it's wrong, I do it the opposite way. Rather, sometimes I don't sit here and try to figure out which one is it? I don't know. Let me just apply one and see if it's right. Nope, that's backwards. Let me go it the other way. So let me do it again. Exactly. That's good. Yeah, it's a problem. You just want to click in here and you can change that. So just these are where you can actually you can click in all of these here because right now my default it will not let me change the 6x because it's recognizing that pattern. So that's not selectable to change, but the dimension for sure is, which I do want to change. I want it to change it to a deviation
Part precision.
0.25. You should be able to change that too. If I go back to default, this would be your precision right here. So if yours is 0.25, yeah, the next little one over is your actual yeah. I thought I set that to default. So if I'm on default and I click back in here, yes, you can always increase your precision right here.
Do we want to draw out the zeros because of the 3125?
Oh, when I get over to that one, I'm just going to hold 4 decimal places. So I'll hold a 4 decimal place tolerance. Yes, I'll still hold the same only on that one. Yeah.
It's getting low.
Yeah, and that's arguable. I'm just kind of going with my ASME standard, which is when the dimension is holding a certain decimal place, my tolerances are going to hold those same decimal place. And I feel like even the geomet like this is just me. I'd have to look this up. I remember mentioning this the other day, and I was like, and I never did look it up yet. But I'm just going to go with what is my best guess, which is yeah, I'm just going to hold tolerances to match my decimal places, even my geometric tolerance here. So did I change it? Okay.
But it was a little more like basic. It didn't have, it had like one GD&T.
Oh yeah. Okay. No, that's good. No, these questions are good. They make me think. So keep them coming. This is just only I'm allowing this hole to get 5 thousandths larger than 0.25, and I do not want it to get any smaller than that. So least material condition. Oh wait, maximum material condition on the hole is going to be 0.25. The other thing I want to change here. Yes, I want a positional tolerance. So that's what it's actually giving me. It doesn't give me a lot of options here. It recognizes that hole. Um, I do want to add oh, it already has the diameter sign, but I want to add a material condition to that. So it's at max material condition, which is because I'm going to try to gain some bonus tolerance here. So there's my max material condition in with the tolerance. Don't because you can apply a max material condition to a datum as well, especially if the datum has anyway. Yeah. So just be careful. I think just I'm putting that max material condition in with the geometric tolerance. A, B, and C, I like. I think this is it for the, yeah, I think this is it for the GD&T symbol there. Yes, we do. Heck yes, we do. Because we got it controlled, so we do have to add that. That's it for that pattern, though. This one, I need these ones. So still 10 thousandths. Yeah, so I'm holding 4 decimal places on all my tolerances here. So it's essentially about the same. If I pick this hole. You can pick any hole. I just want it as the pattern and it's a feature of size. So those are the ones I want. And then this is about, we're about done here. It picks up 4. I just need to kick these decimal places out. Oh, well, that's good. Well, I knew I want to like no, because you're right. Like you don't have the option to do that until I go with a deviate until I select that I'm going to tolerance it. So once I feel like I go to my, is this another deviation tolerance? Then I feel like I get more. Oh, I don't actually, right? Well, what the heck? I don't know.
Oh,
Well, here doesn't have.
Yours doesn't even have this. Mine doesn't. Yeah. I'm going to apply that real quick. Kind of like when you go in here, like this one, huh? Like I'm not picking up this row right here. And some other people are not as well on this particular one, right?
maybe, it was a difference of taking edges of circle instead of a whole.
Let me take a look at that. Let me see because I if I go to tolerance that, you're right. I'm looking for probably the surface it, actually, yeah, it only allows you to. It's probably how I've it's potentially how I've got it dimensioned or how I've got it modeled. And I might need to kick up um
I just select all of the whole.
If you just keep
No,
going.
it's a-
That's also expensive.
I don't know how to do it.
let's see what I can figure out too. I do want deviation. This will come up. But I don't have this. I need 4 decimal places here. That's interesting. And I've modeled them differently. So, my mind goes back to, well, maybe is it picking it up that it's the different way I've modeled it. I'm going to leave that on there. I'm going to jump in here. Let me just do a little troubleshooting. I'm interested.
Um, my pattern has a separate sketch. So
Hmm.
maybe. Yeah, mine work.
Hang on just a minute. If I just place this, I haven't finalized all this, but what if I just left click this? Can I edit? This is interesting to me. Let me see. I can definitely change this precision on just a simple dimension placed to 4 decimal places. However, I cannot do it here.
Well, it's very easy to test if it's one thing or another, because we can just like,
You just change the dimension by 3.
that's what's kind of.
Yeah, it depends on how you pattern this a little bit. And this wasn't something I was anticipating like seeing, but I see that I've definitely patterned each hole's different. So they're kind of coming up a little bit different. And I wasn't anticipating seeing that. I was like, why can't I've never actually have noticed that I've not been able to add to change my precision on that note there. I can do it on a simple dimension. It'll allow me to change the precision there, but here it's just picking up. Not sure why that is actually. That's interesting. I don't know exactly. I think it's got to be just something I'm overlooking, but um, I'll have to problem solve it. So I may have to change my model in order to do how I want it to do, actually. So let me change my model a little bit. Just because I'm saying like I don't know, but I know that this one worked fine for me. So I'm going to do something kind of similar. Here's how I'm going to troubleshoot mine. Just I mean, so you'll see how I troubleshoot, and that's good actually to see. I'm actually going to say, well, I'm just going to go ahead and turn off these. Well, maybe I'll keep my annotations on for the moment. I'm going to bring my end of part up above my hole when I created that one, and I'm going to turn back on my sketch. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to leave that point there. I'm just going to place a circle on that point. I did use the hole command on that, and now it's like
So it might be taking the tolerance of the whole in the whole man and not.
I looked at that, but I do have that's that's a good thought, Scott. And I actually did pull up my whole command first to see, and I'm at 0.3125, but I didn't check. I mean, you bring up a good point. I could have done one more check in there and just see is there a tolerance in that whole command that I'm like that's kind of like that I'm like not that I didn't see when I looked at it real quick. So wait,
Mine doesn't say.
I'm gonna do what Sky was saying here. I'm gonna move my end apart back down below. This is real life, right? Yeah, I was just trying to see if my if there was anything controlling my because this is my data input. Yeah, I don't see where I'm like spitting out. Yeah, that's kind of weird. I don't see anything that would nothing obvious to me comes with the issues I'm having there. So what I've got going on is I've done a modified sketch, so I'm going to edit my sketch here. And then yeah, I'm going to keep working here just a minute. But yeah, go ahead. I'm trying to figure out my problem. I'm in my sketch real quick. But so what you're saying, yeah, yeah, hold thread note. Yeah, this would definitely be more as if I had like counterbores going on or I had a blind hole where it wasn't going all the way through because there's a depth going on here. And that's not what's going to show up in my GD&T. Nope, I'm looking for it to be automatic for me. I'm not trying to manipulate anything. I'm looking for auto. Yeah, I don't know. Troubleshoot, right? That's what I'm doing. Mine is so here's my I'm just me like going back in. Here's my sketch. Um, I'm actually going to edit this extrusion now slightly. Edit my extrusion. I'm going to deselect this profile now. The problem is with this, I won't be able to pattern it, so I'll need to have done this. I'll need to have done my whole, so I'm just going to cancel for a minute. Go back into my sketch. I'm going to do my pattern in there like my other one. I'm just interested if this comes up. Um, so pattern this thing. Direction this way. Only 5/8 apart, right? But direction two, we're going 1 inch and two. This is the correct pattern. Finish this. Change my extrusion. I just don't want to include these profiles. So there I'm back to kind of square one, patterned like these ones are. I'm going to turn off my sketch, and then I'm going to now try to tolerance this feature as a whole pattern. Oh, I'm so much happier. So it's just a difference in how it interprets that hole, actually. So that's interesting to me. This would be to me, this would be the more automatic way to get my my GD&T. So it's just something I didn't know that. I actually didn't know. This is something that's just a corner that I ran into that I'm like, huh. But what I also like is because I was tripping out over that and showing you these different ways. I'm like, this is why. But it could be that I just need to dig a little deeper and wonder why I don't get an option to change the precision of that particular. I don't know why.
I think what it is
It's a setting for sure.
when you do GD&T, you hit the tolerance feature and like you extrude when you just do the circle holes as opposed to using the hole command where there is a hole and thread nodes tolerance state. And that might be why.
Yeah, and it could be that within my option setting here, if I really dug deep in this option setting here, I might be able to find that it's holding me to a specific tolerance naturally with that kind of command. But I'd have to dig through this just a little bit to see, is it a programmed like I feel like it's maybe just how the program is set up default. And I wonder if I could get in here and find the correct place potentially. Because I do feel like it's just a setting that's picking up for whatever reason,
Oh,
for some reason, which I actually, yeah, I wasn't anticipating. It's definitely operator error. The machine's just doing what I'm asking it to do. So it's just me, my problem. But what I really need now, so what I did is I fixed that. Yeah, I still have mine living down here. Like I've moved my end of part up, right? This is how I troubleshoot stuff. I don't just delete it and like I'll be like, well, this is giving me issues. Technically, it was working, but I had some issues. I just decided to kind of bypass it by moving my end of part up and just see if I'll play with this just a different way and see if I get it. And then once I've established something that I like better, I'll just go back and delete this out. So generally, if I've identified a command or a step of my process that I don't like, I'll eventually delete it out. And I'll say, oh, I actually preferred this particular. So it took me a minute to get there, but when in doubt, try it another way. Just yeah. 4 decimal places. This is looking better. Um, yeah. It's still just 10 thousandths though. 10 thousandths on the upper limit and none lower. So this one is my 10 thousandths, right? 10 thousandths. 10 thousandths, none on the upper. Controlling it, yes, 10 thousandths here, but maximum material condition, right? I need to add that. 4 of those, that size. Correct decimal place. Correct, correct. Not correct decimal place here. Let's change that. I'll just add a 0. Oh, I think I'm done with that one. Oh no, I don't know what it did. It didn't apply my feature control frame. Oh, I've got some issues. I think because of my just me changing things. I think I need to reestablish some of these. So I'll see. Now I got to troubleshoot my annotations, right? They're doing weird. I like this should be how it displays. I'm not, so this is weird to me. I'm not sure why that blew up. So everything is blown up on me a little bit. All my GD&T symbols. What's that? I haven't moved it back down. I do want to delete these ones out, which probably will affect. Let me see. So I think I can select these and just delete these. Maybe I have to turn them on first. So I may have to move this down below them in order to delete them. I don't, and this is going to say, oh, you got all kinds of problems. I'm like, that's okay, because I'm going to get rid of this. I'm going to delete it out now. Oh, that was it. Perfect. Thank you. Just needed to get rid of my steps. Maybe in GD&T when I'm annotating on this, maybe it doesn't even allow you to keep some like functions below the end of parts in order for it to like interpret the GD&T correctly. So that could be what's going on, is that it just doesn't like those things, even if they're not being, even if they're below the end of parts and they're not active, maybe they are affecting the GD&T. Because all I had to do is, you're right, just delete them. But you really can't delete them. You have to like bring your end of part below them, and then that kind of activates them, and then you can delete them. So yeah, that I like to use that manipulation to troubleshoot parts for sure. And eventually I got to the finish line. Oh my gosh, it's good. And that's all I wanted to add on. This is a completed. We can take a break. This is done. This is at least the GD&T is model based defined. And because I haven't done this in industry at all, I just see that I would like this to be done in industry more. Um, my question next would be like, do they like us to put basic dimensions on here as well? Because we could basic dimension these. It would just be like, and so what that would look like is if I look at my drawing, just my quick little wrap up here, let's just locate one of these. It would be these two dimensions would definitely be basic, 1.25 and 0.375. They're in my sketch, but I may, if in true model part definition or model based definition, I can add a dimension here. I can say from this hole to this surface. That's one of my basic dimensions. I think I can change that to a basic dimension here. Yep, this would be basic. I think my accuracy is 3 decimal place there. Then I could apply this. So in true model-based definition, maybe they would prefer me to also detail out at least the basic dimensions, maybe the whole entire thing. I don't know. Uh, all I actually wanted was just like for this assignment, just an exploration of model-based definition. So I didn't even require you to put any basic dimensions on it, just the GD&T. So just establishing datums and the couple of features of size that we're controlling. So this to me is done. I just want to show you that technically I could keep going, and maybe basic dimensions might be the uh, the thing they might want here as well. They can measure it though, even their tooling like mine can measure and see how I've modeled this. And in fact, the machine's going to be able to interpret those dimensions automatically anyway. So that might be why that's overkill. It's almost for a visual inspection more than it is. The machine's already got that data in it because I have modeled it at its theoretically exact locations, right?
One pattern arrow, like, the other pattern is like for that.
Oh yeah, probably just and I think you can move these. I think these are just they have grips on them that I could slide this to the front. So I think you can. And sometimes you have to if you're gonna bring these annotations into a drawing, you might have to find yourself coming back in here and actually because I don't think that would have shown up great on the drawing. It might have been kind of weird the way the leader line points to that. Because you remember, if we go into a drawing, we have the option to say retrieve model annotations. And you may find yourself coming back to the model and slipping the leaders around so that they display correctly in your on your particular view on your drawing. But these are what I call are like smarter dimensions, right? Because as I change definitions of this, if the part needs to modify, these if I change the size of that, it should automatically update, and that would automatically update on my drawing. If I had retrieved these annotations to my drawing, it would be this like domino effect. I think dimensional changes would show up though, even if you'd placed these GD&T symbols from the drawing and used the actual annotation on the drawing to set them. I still think the dimensions will, I know the dimensions will automatically update. And I think even the GD&T dimension here would update as well automatically, even on the drawing with the change. I feel like it's just a little smarter annotations, but really your annotations on a drawing are pretty smart. There are just a few that are a little bit more static, I guess. Okay, I would save this. This is in my week 7 stuff.
You just want that, right?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Just the one. Yeah, this one to turn in is no PDF or nothing. Just the IPT part. The only, oh wait, I never defined its material. That I do want to say. So I have one. I'm just going to name mine real quick in class. Save in class.
Second one.
Oh yeah, I'll jump into the second one. The last thing I need to do is this. It's just pick. This is generic by default. I'm going to choose that this is aluminum 6061. Definitely defining materials will be very helpful in a model-based definition. Aluminum AL is up here. 6061 is what I have. It's just a type of aluminum. That's a series. I'll just leave it as its default. That way, that's at least captured. And in reality, you would probably go through the iProperties and establish even a few more definitions here. It's going to auto-populate my name as the author, so my name's on it. I may want to put a description in here that it's aluminum 6061. We don't have to, for sure on a drawing, I would need to populate, some of the iProperties in the part. Here, I've got it as it recognizes that it's aluminum 6061. So if I update this, here's the masses. If I close this out, so I'll save that now. Now that I've got the material, this to me is like as far as I really needed to go. Material and GD&T. And I'll do that on the second one. Heck yeah. And so, but yeah, let's take a 10 minute